Goedemiddag iedereen. Welkom om zo talrijk aanwezig te zijn op ons webinar over het connecteren naar klanten. Jullie weten dat wij bij Tilroy steeds werken rond het omniconnected zijn, het connecteren met je consumenten, het connecteren met je klanten. En dat doe je op heel wat verschillende manieren vandaag. Een manier die jullie veel gebruiken, vele van jullie, is met Mailchimp bijvoorbeeld. We gaan mails gaan zenden, maar veel meer functionaliteit wordt daar weinig gebruikt. Je hebt nogthans heel veel data. Je hebt je data van je verkoper in je winkel, je hebt je data van je online verkoop, je hebt je klantendata, je hebt je productdata. Dus de dag van vandaag kunnen we met al die data wel meer dingen gaan doen. Zeker met een blik naar de toekomstige mogelijkheden van alles wat digitale marketing betreft. Enkele jaren geleden ben ik Alexi van Custobar tegengekomen op een beurs in België of in Nederland. En daar ontdekt van, zij hadden toen de slogan, het enige marketing automation platform voor retail. En daar dieper naar gekeken en gemerkt van, met de combinatie van onze data en met die tool kan je toch wel een volgende stap zetten in het bereiken van je klant. Dus vandaag heb ik Alexi laten overkomen uit Finland om jullie toe te lichten van eerst wat is de visie achter het product, waarom bestaat het, wat is de doelstelling, een beetje in te gaan op een customer case, om dan tenslotte uiteraard, waar het over gaat, een demo te geven van Custobar. De bedoeling van de demo is dat jullie kunnen inzien van, en inspiratie opdoen, wat kan de dag van vandaag allemaal met die data en die combinatie van die gegevens naar jullie klanten toe. En hoe kan dat uiteraard omzetverhogend werken. We hebben op dit moment een heel klein technisch probleempje. Alexi kan ons niet echt horen, maar wij gaan hem wel kunnen horen. Dus geen zorg. Als er tijdens het webinar vragen zijn, je hebt aan de rechterkant van het scherm een icoontje. Daar kan je een vraag stellen. Op het einde van het webinar gaan we die beantwoorden. U kan die in het Nederlands of in het Engels stellen. Ik zal die modereren. Degene die kan beantwoorden en uiteraard samen met Alexi komen we daar tot een aantal zaken. Het webinar wordt volledig opgenomen, dus nadien krijgt u de link, kan u alles nog eens nakijken. Ook mensen die nu niet aanwezig konden zijn, kunnen die natuurlijk altijd achteraf bekijken. So, that's it for now. Alexi, you can hear me because I have my phone open, so we use an old school method. So, connected to Finland. The floor is yours, so I'm going to leave now. Let you present the idea and what you can do with the product and then demonstration of the product. And afterwards I come back and we handle the questions of the audience. The floor is yours.
Perfect. Thanks a million, Peter. And super nice to be that I got this opportunity, and it was really great that there were so many of you who joined today. And of course it's super interesting topic, very timely topic as such. So I'm extremely happy that you were also really interested in it. As said, I will now kind of like present you the idea of Custobar, what we do, bit who we are, and then go through customer cases, and then actually in the demo itself show kind of like a logic how you can reveal and reach the customers behind the data, and what that then means in real life. What does it mean marketing and communication wise? And of course the whole idea in Custobar as a platform is that a CDP, which Custobar is a customer data platform with marketing automations in it, how that can be used to combine all the customer related data from different sources, and then how you can use it to improve your customer experience for the consumers, and of course get more sales with that. First of all, the things I will go through: a brief introduction to Custobar as a company. Then what can you actually do with Custobar, with the tool? What's the idea in it? Then I will present you a kind of like a timeline view of the unified customer profile, because that gives you a really good picture of what it actually means to have all data connected and then usable for automations, targeted campaigns, and all of that. Then I will continue with some customer cases. After the first one, let's actually jump into the demo itself, because then you have an idea of what it is in actuality, and then I show how it works in the tool, and then I will follow up that with a couple of other cases if we hopefully have time, and then of course key takeaways after that. But I'm Aleksi Monta, and I'm the head of business development at Custobar. Before this, I was doing CRM consultancy. Then I was a controller for the menswear online at H&M, so the clothing retailer from Sweden, and now I've been running the sales for Custobar for the last 4 years. And then about Custobar, well, we are the Nordics leading customer data platform and marketing automation system for retail. We were founded in 2004, and the original idea actually for the tool came from our the founders' earlier retail customers. So they had the request of creating a system which combines all the customer-related data from e-commerce, newsletters, tools, POS or ERP system, so that it's actually usable for marketing and communications. Like Peter said, we're from Finland, and I'm now physically sitting in Finland, like we are all sitting physically somewhere. It would have been great to do it on site, but now we do with this. But we're actually like really international. So we have customers in 14 different countries. Good example is actually Tilroy and the integration we have with them. So through these kind of partners, we've been able to extend our customer base in Europe, and of course in Belgium we already have several customers, which is great. Then what Custobar actually does, so it can be divided into 3 parts. So on the left, first is collecting data. So we have ready-made integrations and open APIs. So we get all the customer-related data from different systems into Custobar. So of course, newsletter subscribers, e-commerce customers, so people who buy from e-commerce, customers who buy from physical stores, especially when there's a kind of like a loyalty program and there's a customer identification for the in-store sales. That's of course required there. If you have an app, we have also several customers who send the data from apps to Custobar as well, which also of course works the other way. Then there's possibility to also integrate customer service tools, for example, Zendesk or Freshdesk. So the tickets from those systems are also combined to the customer profile. And naturally, there's also a cookie, which is like first-party cookie on your side, which then gathers the browsing data, for example, from the e-commerce, what products the customer have been browsing. And if there's an app like similar kind of like browse events can be also sent from there, or actually any other interesting events as well, like basket ads, wish list ads, and those. So the first part is that collecting the data and then putting that together. So creating a 360 view, like a full view of every individual customer, who they are, what kind of marketing permissions they have, what they usually buy from which stores, how good customers they are money-wise. And basically all of these parts I will also show in the system itself. And then the important next step is, of course, how that data is used. Well, all of the data which comes to Custobar can be used for creating dynamic audiences and triggers for marketing automations and flows like that. So basically, you have the data. Then you select what are the interesting target groups. What are, for example, how you want to activate the passive customers. Is it after 3 months? Is it after a half a year? And then the data basically works for you. Then the third part is that after you have an idea of the audiences, then reach out to the customers. And Custobar supports a lot of different channels. So there's, of course, emails, SMS. You can even take out address lists for physical post. In Germany and Finland, for example, already now there's possibility to do physical sending through the local postal service. Then you can send push notifications or messages to apps. So actually targeted push notifications or messages. And then, of course, really importantly nowadays, is of course the display channels. So for example, Google ads or Facebook ads. So as we're moving towards the time when third-party cookies are not supported, and basically here I'm referring to the Facebook and Google pixels, then your own customer data in your CDP is basically data which you can and have to use to target also the marketing in the display channels. So that's also covered. And most importantly, of course, is that as Custobar knows the customers who got the campaign or automation, and we also get the sales data. So from all the different campaign types, whether it's online buying or like loyal customers buying from physical stores, so they buy in an identified way, you know the actual conversion of the campaigns, who bought and what and when. But more about that in the demo itself. But this was a brief run through. Then a bit of a visualization of basically the timeline of the customership, what it means in a visual way of collecting all the data. So this is the base for knowing your customers, and then the marketing actions, segmented campaigns, automations follow with it. So this is a customer journey example. It takes into account e-com, app, and stores. You can only have one, or you can have all of these, or you can have even more channels as such where the data comes from. And the example, just like the demo environment, which you will see, is about omni-channel bookstore chain. So that's kind of like the setting for you. Okay, so first of all, the customer comes to the e-commerce page, and they register there, or they subscribe to your newsletter. So customer gets the email subscribe event, and then the customer is created. At that point of time, we know the email address and we get the email permission. Then when we go forward, then right away there's a welcome email, which is triggered to the new customer, which is right away sent from customer to the client. Then of course we see that the customer opened the email. Then the next part is that through the link they go to the site. The cookie is saved. So right from there we start to get also the browsing data, and we can see that this customer, she was browsing science fiction. What happens next is that the customer is identified as a science fiction lover. They haven't yet bought, so we have to use the browsing information to kind of like start building the profile. So they're identified as interested in sci-fi, and then the first campaign is sent via email, and then there's also automation to create a Google ads about that category for her. And of course, the more data we get, more different data we get, the more channels are, of course, also available for the marketing. Okay, now the customer bought a science fiction book, followed by the campaign. That's, of course, visible in the campaign conversion. What happens next? We get an event from the e-commerce systems or the like the ERP system backend. And then we send the order confirmation email to the customer. Everything is done automatically. And as the customer did the purchase, we also get the address data and phone number, which is then updated to updated to the customer profile. So as you can see, the customer profile is building through that, or being built. Now that the customer has also bought, Custobar updates the customer's lifetime value, which can be once again used for segmentation, and also the position in the Rfm Matrix, which I will show you later, is updated. So extremely important metrics when we think about the entirety of marketing and data-driven marketing. And also, of course, they're identified as one-time buyers. Next, we get an event, pick and collect, from the backend. What happens then? That customer sends an order ready for pickup SMS to the customer, and it informs in which stores and from which store and when they can pick up the order. Now, in this case, the customer would also have an app. So we send also, or try to send, a push notification to the customer about the same order ready status. Then when we continue, the customer comes to the store to pick up the order. And while in the store employee can ask the customer, are they registered to the loyalty program? In this case, they weren't. So the clerk at the desk puts in the information, and right away an SMS is sent to the customer to ask them to install the app, as they haven't had the app before. And that's then done. The app is installed. And then the next push type there is that there's an automation that now, as they are a science fiction interested, there's also a push notification going to the customer about new books in science fiction category, which might interest her. Then when we go forward, this data can of course be, like the segment data, can be exported to e-com platform or apps backend. And in that case, for example, if there would be an app, the segment science fiction fan can be used to also cater the content or products in the app. Now the customer continues to browse science fiction and related products. They buy the science fiction book, and now as they got the push notification, then the sales is attributed to that campaign. And then we also know, because before they were like one-time buyer, but now they are identified as a returning customer. So now they have now she has two purchases. So once again, the lifetime value and the Rfm matrix is updated, or the position in the Rfm matrix is updated based on this. So that was just a kind of like quick run through and visualization of what can it actually look when all the data comes to one tool, and when it's used for targeted communications and automations. Then an interesting customer case from a great Finnish customer of ours, and this is basically a prelude before we go into the demo itself. So Kekale, not maybe the easiest name for you guys. Even actually for Finn, it's a strange name. It means like a small ember, like ember in the fire. But the company it's actually quite old. So it was founded in 1957. They only started with actually one retail store, but then they've grown to 9 physical stores and online stores. So omnichannel clothing retailer in essence. Online store in good way. They have a loyalty program and loyalty card, so they also identify the buying in the stores. And they've always been really data driven. Before they started with Custobar, I think about three years ago, they were really adamant that being data driven and doing marketing in a data driven way, that's the key to their success, because that's how they can know their customers and keep ahead of the competition. So before, they had data scattered in different systems, so ERP system, e-commerce systems differently. They had an old email tool with limited analytics, only one channel basically, none of the social media, Google Ads, SMS channels to use, no way of actually segmenting the customers, and they wanted to combine all of that data, analyze the campaign and automation results, and see the actual conversion, not only from online sales, but offline sales. Of course, to add also other channels besides email was super important for them. So Custobar was the solution. So we get the data from product data from their PIM system, other data from the ERP and e-commerce system. So we get all of the identified customers, so loyalty program customers, online and offline buyers, newsletter subscribers. So we really create the unified customer profile for them. And targeted campaigns and automations are run with Custobar, and emails, SMS, display, social media, and they actually use the NPS survey, so customer satisfaction survey, which is built in Custobar. So they also can see the customer satisfaction for the different stores based on the customer satisfaction surveys, which are automated from Custobar. And then interesting case which they had. So they had a case, they wanted to bring in a new men's clothing brand into their stores. So they wanted to start it off with the omni-channel and data-driven campaign. And this clothing brand was quite similar to Tommy Hilfiger or Hugo Boss. So sharp suits, kind of like business attires. And then they wanted to, it only went, I think, to 2 of their stores or 1 of their stores in the beginning. So they really wanted to have a targeted campaign and see, do they get traction from their customer base? As it was men's clothing, first of all, they started with a gender search. So everybody who had identified themselves as male or had been buying men's clothing, I think it was more than 3 times. Then the other part was that people who've also bought similar brands. So that's an and search on top. So people who had bought similar brands, Tommy Hilfiger, Polo, Hugo Boss, or others. Then on top of that, they also added a search bought from a targeted area, because it was only in the one store where they had it first. So they needed to get people who are close to the store, who would actually come there and check the launch out. So they selected also people who have only bought from 2 certain stores, which are close to the one store where they had the new offering. Then on top of that, they also took customers who've only bought online, but are from a selected zip code area, so the postal code area, which is close to the store. So that's actually a good way that they were also able to get customers who haven't actually bought from the stores, but also introduce the store concept to the online buyers. So this was the setting and this was the search. What happened then was that there was 1,000 customers in the audiences, and for the first week of sales, they got 9,400 euro revenue from only these customers. So it was a huge success. So this sweet little triangle, which was found through these searches, gave them a good launch for the new product line, and of course verification of potential to sell it also in other stores. And this was the first case. And now let's jump to the live demo itself, because here I can show you the segmentation as well. Hopefully it's not too small. I wish that you can see it, but this is actual the Custobar environment. So here we have customers. Then a bit later, after we've looked at the segmentation, I'll show you the campaigns, the campaign results, how that's created. But let's first start with the 360 view, like view of the individual customer. So you can actually search out customers by their name as well, phone number, anything like that. And there's also actually in-store UI for the physical stores as well. Actually, I'll actually move. Maybe I can. I'll put it there like that. Yes, sorry. So this is the 360 view of a individual customer. So she's Bessie Watson. On the left side, there's the basic information, and this is basically the only part which is fixed. So we can see that she's made 12 purchases. She lives in Haringey in UK. You can see the different data that she's left, the different marketing permissions that she has, what tags she has, and then the rest of this data can be actually catered based on what data you bring into the system. In this bookstore demo example, it's how many times they've bought, how much revenue they've generated. If she would have given her birthday, that can be shown here. If the customer has for example, a loyalty point system or loyalty levels, those can be displayed here. You see what product categories, what product types she likes to buy from which specific stores. Customer also calculates, which is one of our add-ons, we also calculate product recommendations based on all of the omni-channel sales and also browsing data. These can be, of course, used as dynamic content in the emails, but this can also be used in the 360 view. So, for example, having this view in customer service, like some of our customers has. First of all, it shows you who the customer is, what are they interested in, and then the product recommendations, of course, bring an extra idea of like what are the things that you could right away offer to the customer, what they might find interesting. Then, of course, the product customer data can be edited here, but the great thing here is that the customer view layout, so you can actually define the different user roles, what kind of data you want to show actually on a field level. So if we take that away, you can decide what actual fields you're showing here. So no need for admin stuff like that. So any data which comes in about the customer, that can be displayed here. So super easy and handy and quick way of getting grasp of an individual customer. Then when we go down, here's the timeline, and this is basically the one, like a similar one which I showed you in the presentation. So every touch point with the customer, this is demo data, so there's quite a lot of demo events in the beginning. So of course there's like different kind of automated campaigns. There are the newsletters that the customer has gotten. Here's the NPS survey, so customer satisfaction score, like answer that she has given. So the rating, and of course the written feedback would be visible here as well. Then when we go down, we can, for example, see that she has created a Zendesk ticket, delivery problem. There's a URL which takes you to the Zendesk ticket itself. So once again, super helpful in customer service, but also something that can be used for segmentation naturally. And then browsing data from the site, what are the pages, what are the products that they've been or she's been browsing. And then the sales. What are the products that she bought, from which stores and when? And like said, this is the essence for the segmentation, for the automations. All of this data can be used for that. And then, of course, there might be some people of you who are interested and know a lot about GDPR. There's, for example, if the customer asked to get the data exported, that's possible here to get a CSV out and send it to them if they so have asked, or remove the customer naturally if they ask that as well. But this was 360 view, so basically the unified customer profile, which is the base for everything. Then when we go to the segmentation part, here's audiences. So these can be basically anything what you want them to be. For example, for a bookstore, so these are dynamic customer groups that you communicate to often or are just interested to see them and follow them up. For a bookstore chain, for example, fiction lovers, biography readers, these kind of buying personas, super important. People who only buy from offline. It can be people from specific geographical areas, which many of our customers actually use it, to people who buy from specific stores, anything like that. And then we can just start building a new search from from here, or new audience from here. So kind of like as having the clothing example in the background, so the product launch. So we start with the border product. So customers who've bought a specific brand, specific category, specific like products themselves, when they've bought from which store. Let's go with a bit more general one, people who've bought comics. So we had the whole customer base there, 137,000 customers. Now there's a bit under 5,000. We can right away see in which marketing channels, how many permissions these have. And then when you scroll down, here you can actually see quite a lot of interesting data about these customer groups. For example, the customer lifetime value. Do these customers mainly fall into the worst 10% group customer lifetime value wise, or are they part of the best 10%? And this can of course be used as segmentation criteria as well. When they've been less active, when did they buy the last time, how many times they've bought, do they usually buy online or offline, and from which specific stores do they buy? From which cities are they from, which product categories they usually buy, which brands they buy. So trying to offer you as much information about the group that you've selected as possible. Then when we go up here, we can continue by adding, for example, customers who've also been browsing this product category. So let's put comics there as well. So customer, let's add here, so 1 year. So now we have an all search. So the customer base increased. People who've been buying comics or have been browsing comics during the last year. Then, for example, we can add a city search on top. So let's take Havering and Oldham. So let's say that we have a stores around there. So we add a and search there. So now we have customers who have been buying comics and are from Havering or Oldham, or have been browsing comics. And then we could also add a zip code range here. Let's say that, because I know that this is like UK data, so they have a bit different like way of using the postal code. So let's do that. All of the postal codes which start with BX, and then let's add it on the browsing side. So we have everybody who's been buying comics are from these cities or have been just browsing them and are from this zip code range. We have 152 customers. 62 of them have an email marketing permission. So quite small group, but I think you get the picture. And of course, here's an exclude part as well. So for example, we could add, let's make a copy of this, add it there. So people who have been, let's exclude people who've been, have already bought from this product category, so fables. So now we have 77 people. So you can also really easily exclude certain customers from here. Then you can, of course, save the audience. So then it's visible in the timeline, in the dashboard, in the front view, which I showed. And then it can be also pinned to the email editor. So then you can have dynamic content for them. But let's run through the campaign creation as well here, so you see how easy that is. So email, SMS, external campaigns, push notifications. So you have the actual pushes to apps there, Google and Facebook ads. But let's go with the email now, and of course the automations as well. But let's go with the email now because there's quite a lot of different possibilities there. Then there's of course folders there. Let's go forward. Select a template, so different language version, different brand looks. Templates can be created here. Now we selected the English template, so it's a module-based email template tool, so you can add different modules based on your wishes. I'll just add few here. So first of all, there's a marketing image library, so they can be imported there on the media library or selected from the computer. And of course, if you have text, you can have placeholders. So for example, in automations, hi, first name, last name. those kinds of things. Great thing here is that the product data comes with the integration. So from the backend system or e-commerce, so in this case from Tilroy, so you can search out products with name, product code. You just drag them here. You get the pictures, links to the stores. Okay, this is in Finnish, but yeah, anyways, prices, discount prices, all of that is visible there. Then a great thing is that then you can also, if you use the product recommendations for Custobar, you can define, for example, different product categories, brands, or types from which you want to get the product recommendations from. So in this case, there's fiction and non-fiction. So let's add the fiction product recommendations here. So this means that for every customer who opens the or gets the message, they get calculated products which they are most likely to buy next. So that's like super personalized content in the message itself. Then, which is also something that our customers love, you can select any of these modules. So now we selected this last product module, and you can select the module visibility. So you can select if everybody can see it, or if you only show it to specific audience, or hide it from an audience. So now let's select fiction lovers here. So this is the idea, or there's the idea behind it, that you can have different content in your messages which is hidden or shown to specific audiences. For example, if you have a regional thing going in one city, then you can only show information about that event to customers who live in that town or usually go to that specific store. Or it can be that you only show certain content for your best customers or anything like that. But let's say that we're now happy with this message. Then when we go forward, and there's a lot more things also, only the email editor, which I would love to show to you, but there's not enough time, unfortunately. But then there's of course the like sending criteria. For example, you can attach coupon codes, so personalized coupon codes with placeholders, so every customer gets their personalized coupon. But when we scroll down, we see a preview of the message. And as you can see, it only has the two modules. So the hero image and then the product module here. But then, so that's for everyone. Then when we go to the fiction lovers, as you can see, that these people, they also get the product recommendations there. So great way of having dynamic content for specific audiences. And then we activate it, or we schedule it, or then if it's an automation, you have different criteria there, and then that's basically done. Then you can, of course, choose the audience or define the audience more. You can go back to editing the content, but that's basically it. But most importantly, what happens when the campaign is activated? The campaign is sent. Of course, the result, what actually happened. So now this is one email newsletter campaign. And the stats are interesting. Of course, you see the audience. In emails, you see the delivered, you see the opens and clicks. But most importantly, you see the conversion. How many customers actually bought from the campaign? 37,000 customers got it, 77 bought. So sales conversion of 0.5%. You see how many orders you got, how much revenue it created. Did they buy from online or offline? From which specific stores did they buy? And how was the distribution of the sales to different stores? Then, of course, you have click maps, like a heat map of where did the customers click? What was the most interesting stuff? And then products. What products did the customers buy who were part of this campaign and bought something? Did they buy the products which were like selected to the campaign, or did they buy something else? So very interesting data when you want to improve your campaigns and marketing and think about what worked and what didn't. So, and of course, same for the store side sales. Actually, one of our customers, they share these numbers about the different campaigns weekly to the store managers, because before the store managers they were always quite hesitant on or they had the feeling that the marketing was taking the customers to online. But after this, they have been able to show that actually, like, this campaign gave 10 or 15,000 euros to your specific store. So it can be actually also really good in internal communications. And then the campaign results can also be looked from a perspective of a defined customer group. For example, the fiction lovers. So if you had dynamic content there for only specific customer group, or you want to see the results for your best customer groups, that's something that can be absolutely done. Then one more thing in the demo, which I want to show you, because that's it's a thing which is a sweetheart of our customers, and this is the Rfm Matrix. So inbuilt in the system, it comes from the word recency. So when was the customer last active? So this line here, were they active in 30 days, 30 to 90 days, or haven't they been active in a year? Frequency, how many times they've bought, 0 times, 1 time, more than 10 times. Or are they, so basically you get a picture of who are new customers. They haven't bought or bought 1 time, have been active recently. At-risk customers, so with them you didn't even have that good of a relationship with. The VIP customers, so basically the best of the best. They buy a lot and often from you. And then passive VIP customers. So these, of course, the idea is that you want to grow the new customers back to VIP customers, get something like some kind of an action from the at-risk customers to get them also here into the buying step, activate the passive VIPs to get them back here. And the great thing is that if you select 1 cell or several cells, the percentage here and here, it shows the size of that cell or the selection in customer base. So we have 3.7% of the customer base. It brings 14% of the revenue. So you right away see who are your best customers, to who you should focus on, who are the customers who bring you the most money. And if we think about a concrete case, you want to activate passive VIP customers. What do? You select them, you create action, and create a email automation, so win-back campaign to these customers. So right away, when a VIP customer drops, so hasn't been buying in 180 days, they can, for example, get the message. Then if they buy, they come back here, and then the cycle continues. So it's not actually only an analysis tool, but the idea is that it's easy to take action based on the data. And naturally, now we were looking at it on a whole, on an overall level of all customers, but you can also use it for specific audiences as well. This was the part of the demo. So and I'm more than happy, and people from Tilroy are of course happy to also tell you more and show you more. But then one more, or actually 2 more examples from our customers, what they've been doing. Strö, so this is actually a brilliant case. So Strö is a horse equipment and horse food or company from northern Germany. They have a store and warehouse and then a web shop. Super old company. They started from a mill, but now the current owner and the part of the founding family, he decided, or he understood the power of customer data. He realized that only if they can use the customer data effectively, they can actually compete in the market and grow to the scale that they've been able to grow. So combining all data from different customer touch points, of course, with Custobar. And the best idea was that they had this kind of calculator on their site where you could give your horse's breed, what hobbies, what were the things that you did with them, the horse's birthday, then the allergies. When you put it to the tool itself, then I think you got some kind of what kind of food your horse should eat. But all of that data was then sent to Custobar. So then they got this full profile, not only of the customer, but of course the customer's horse, which is the kind of end client here. So what happened there, that they used this data to create a lot of different automations, and they were also using it with the Rfm Matrix. So for example, birthday notification to the horse. They were targeting the allergy foods for the horses with different allergies. They were able to target the campaigns based on the activities that the horses were doing. And the results were amazing. So they gained a 62% increase in the year-over-year repurchase rate, like compared to the time before they weren't using Custobar. So great example of how you can really use your data to drive sales. Then one more case. This is also from the clothing retailer Kekale, but this is once again totally different angle, but pretty interesting. So what happened there is that they used to send this catalog to basically all of their customers, and of course, catalogs, I know it's from H&M. I think a lot of you also know that they drive sales, but it's expensive. It's not always desirable for internet savvy customers. We use emails, we go to the site, we use Instagram, all of that. And it's also difficult to measure in terms of effectiveness compared to online campaigns. So what revenue actually came from the campaign? What they did was that it's simple when you say it like that, but they did a targeted catalog sending. So they included everybody who has made a purchase within 2 years. So customer has been reasonably active. They have a permission to send physical mail, and they excluded people who have recently bought something. It might have been maybe 3 months. So they didn't need any, or even less, like they didn't need any activation. They excluded also people who only buy from online, because they know where to shop. Most likely they're not even interested in the catalog itself. And then they excluded everybody who would open and clicked an email recently. So they were already kind of like in active collaboration with the brand. So what happened? Well, this happened. The sales was great. Interestingly, you can see the how the sales was divided between the different channels, online and offline. 20,000 customers in the audience, 7.2% conversion of the campaign. You can only imagine what it means in money. But in the end, what they said was that with a 20% smaller target audience, which means 20% lower cost for the catalog sending, they were able to make 20% more in sales. And to top it off, they were also able to learn something about their customers, so build their customer understanding. And they saw from the data that 98.9% of the customers bought from physical stores who were part of this campaign. So there's a big part of the customers who like physical stores. They like catalog, they like physical stores. They're not maybe that internet savvy, they don't like online shopping. So then they kind of like, they understood that this is also a customer group which they need to take care of. That was basically it. Oh, actually, yeah, there was just like a couple of notes which I wanted to kind of like key takeaways which I wanted to summarize to you. At least like hopefully it also came to you clearly from the examples that your customer data is a source of competitive advantage. That's it. There's no better way of saying it. And as CDP, your customer data platform like Custobar unifies all customer related data. It also makes it possible to do targeted campaigns and automations, which is super important. And going forward, of course, like these guys did, they tested different kind of channels, emails, SMS, Google, Facebook ads, even the physical mails, testing it and trying out what works. In the best case, you get more sales, and then you learn something about your customers. And of course, with Custobar, they were able to get full analytics and the actual conversion of all of these campaigns, so they can actually see how it works, why it works, and then take action also for the future. But yeah, this was my part. Happy to answer questions now, and of course also connect with you and help you with next steps if you want to continue the discussion.
Okay. Alexi, thank you for this presentation. Always admire the ease of use and the enormous amount of data that you can use, that you see and that you can use in a fast way, and certainly to combine the offline and the online things. So I'm just going to call Alexi because he cannot hear us. So and then he can hear us. Okay.
Now I can hear you.
Yes. Okay. I have some questions, so I can mute you, and then you can talk again. So there's a question about the tracking of the campaigns towards the turnover. So you had some great results from a campaign, but how do you track the turnover related to the campaign?
So super good question. So how it works is that so Custobar, we know the customers who were part of the campaign, and what we do is that then we get the sales from online and offline to Custobar. So and then you define a conversion window for every campaign. So 10,000 customers, you have a conversion window of 7 days. During that time, if some of the customers buy, then that sales is linked to the conversion of the campaign. And of course, this is the great thing because it works for Facebook, Google, because we know people who were part of the campaign, same for physical mailings. And then of course, related to this, for the physical stores, you have to have a way of identifying the customers from there. So if it's a loyalty card, you ask email or phone number on the till, anything like that. That's enough to basically identify the customer and then add it to the time.
Nice. I have another question that I can answer. So that is, how do we get the data into Custobar? Now, if you use Tilroy, you're lucky because it's integrated. So it's just activating the link with Custobar, and that's no development. It's just a setup that we need to do from the data for the sales. There's also a plugin in the website, and it depends on your team to trace all the online activities towards Custobar. Alexi, there's a question about, is this tool also used in a B2B context? So now we see B2C, but what do you think about the B2B customers?
Well, once again, a good question, and question we get quite a lot. Honestly, we are really focused on B2C. Then again, there's always a but we also have some customers who use Custobar for B2B. It's not a CRM solution, absolutely not for B2B, but it can be used for B2B sales, which is really similar to B2C. So a lot of customers, lot of interactions with them. Usually you have to have an online channel where the customers buy. But to be honest, mainly for B2C. In specific cases, of course, it works for B2B as well. But that's something that we can hopefully discuss more later.
Okay. Another question. Can the system help you to identify customer groups, customer journeys that are a good idea to target? So.
Yes. Basically, we have an AI partner called Houston Analytics, which can basically crack all of the numbers, and we have an integration from Custobar, so they can basically do a lot of predictive analysis on the data and create that kind of groups. Then again, as all of the, for example, Rfm Matrix, that's already, I think, a really like tangible way of identifying those groups. And one thing more is that as all of the audiences which I showed are dynamic, so for example, buying personas, one-time buyers, returning customers, those are things which we actually, in the setup phase, we can save them with you, or we can show them how they're done. And then those, of course, follow you going forward. And then in our automation build of the flow tool, there's kind of like some templates for kind of like ready-made automations, which can be used to basically make those kind of things even simpler.
Thank you. Yeah, to conclude, I think there are a lot of things that you showed in the demo, but the time is limited. We wanted to be around 1 hour. But interesting to know for everyone that there's also a lot of automation possible. So reaction of email campaigns based on an event. For example, if there's a birthday or somewhere, someone abandoned basket emails, all these kind of events are certainly also possible. Okay. Alexi, thank you for the presentation. I hope we were able to inspire the customers and the viewers. So if anyone has questions afterwards, how to get started with it, possibilities, just let us know. We can send you an answer, of course, together with Alexi from Custobar. So happy to help you with any idea that you have to connect to your customers. Okay.
Also, sorry. Also, thank you from my part. It was a pleasure. First of all, in Finland, if we would have had the same kind of event, there would have been no questions. So I really appreciate that you were so active, and it was a true pleasure. There's a couple of questions about the pricing. So actually, we can get back to you with Peter if you get in touch with us, and we see your name. So we'll send you the kind of like the slides about the pricing. But on a broad level, if you go to custobar.com/pricing, there you can see like the pricing for a kind of like the Custobar, which you can take into use through the online site. So that's one part, but we'll also get in touch with you with the specific pricing. Absolutely.
Okay. Great. We will also send the presentation. You will get an automatic email with the recording of all this. So I will keep you informed of evolutions and new plans. Thanks for being online. We were nearly with 100 people, so it's really it indicates that there's a lot of interest in connecting to our customers, and I think that's a very good step. Thank you for participation.